Воронка.
If, after a lovely day and a good night's rest, you wake up to the invasion of your country by her beloved neighbor, what would be your reaction? While the Russian invasion of Ukraine might come as a huge surprise to some, it may not seem that way due to the bilateral relationship that has always existed between both nations. However, it all began on the 24th of February when President Putin declared a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine following heavy missiles and airstrikes hitting various cities across Ukraine, including Kyiv, its capital. This action by Putin has gathered world sympathy and support for Ukraine, followed by various sanctions from powerful nations like the US, UK, Germany, and a host of others to target the ever-mighty Russian economy. This war incurred several sanctions on Russia, but it has also exposed the country's military deficiency and strength to the world. To know more, kindly watch this video compiled by Military Technology Updates to the end. The 24th of February 2022 will go down as a day never to be forgotten because on this day, the world woke up to a Russian invasion of Ukraine. Tensions had continued to build up between both nations as far back as 2014 when Russia annexed the southern regions of Crimea and parts of the southern eastern regions of Ukraine were seized by Russian separatist groups. While the Kremlin continued to deny its planned invasion of Ukraine as far back as the 23rd of February 2022, as accusations from various nations continued to mount up, it could no longer move ahead with its deceit as the 24th of February saw the execution of its plans. Various military hardware had been employed in the Russian-Ukraine battle, ranging from the Kinzhal missiles to the 9K-720 ballistic missiles, just to mention a few. Yet Ukraine has continued to offer strong resistance to the Russian military and its hardware, and even going ahead to reclaim lost cities, making the Russian military power seem previously overestimated. Well, was the military power of Russia truly overestimated? The country called Russia. Understanding Russia's conflict in Ukraine can only come from studying the country's history of war, its victories and defeat, says Greg Carlton, a renowned professor of Russian studies. He further stated that Russia has continued to be a militarized country, which has remained so for the country's very own survival. As a nation surrounded by Europe and Asia, experiencing and carrying out invasions has become a major part of the nation's history. Top on the list of its major invasions is the country's invasion by the Mongols in the 13th century, its invasion by Napoleon in 1812, and Hitler's invasion in 1941. It is a no-brainer that the country's biggest holiday is the Victory Day, held on the 9th of May every year to commemorate the end of the Second World War. On this day, Russians are seen carrying photographs of their relatives who took an active and passive part in the war in which Russia suffered an estimated 14 million military and civilian deaths. Not all are parades organized on this day. Television stations also show solidarity by playing war movies all through the week. Her previous wars. War has remained a deeply rooted culture in Russian history, and oftentimes, the stories of these wars are often cast as defensive ones, although it remains glaring that not all wars fought by the Russians are for defensive reasons. For instance, the Russian war against its neighboring Kazan in 1552. This was a well-known Muslim state 450 miles away from Moscow and a successor of the Mongols' empire. Yet, Russia started and won, which paved the way for its imperial expansion toward the Pacific. This was the first example of Russia's defensive expansionism. From that time, the Russian school of thought has remained this way. We have a hostile neighbor or a neighbor who might prove hostile in the near future. So the best way to protect ourselves is to cross our borders and squash that neighbor. And yet again, the cycle continues. Moving forward to 2022, this defensive expansion is being used as an excuse for the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as the Russian president claimed the reason for the invasion was to protect people facing genocide perpetrated by the Ukraine government. Weapons used in Ukraine. Just as the saying goes, there's no injustice in love and war. Well, that scenario has continued to play out in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia has continued to deploy a lot of military hardware to ensure Ukraine submits to its greater power. Yet the Ukrainians are not a people to write off so quickly. Ukraine has offered consistent resistance to ensure that the Russian dream does not become a reality, even in extension. While the war continues to intensify, some military weapons have continued to be deployed by the Russians. Chief amongst these weapons is the phosphorus bomb. Yes, you heard that right. I just said the phosphorus bomb. Words came from President Zelensky that Russia has used the phosphorus bomb, which has claimed the lives of adults and children. We can only pray that Ukraine survives this assault as a weapon made mainly with phosphorus. Phosphorus is a substance used by various world militaries to produce deadly explosives. Exposure to air causes it to burn brightly and create a great deal of smoke. In the assault against Ukraine, the Russians have continued to use phosphorus bombs to hit targets and hide their troops' movement. Yet another deadly weapon used so far by the Russians is the Kinzhal missiles. This weapon is known to be a hypersonic missile forged from the word Kinzhal, which means dagger. In its assault against Ukraine, the Kinzhal missile has continued to be put to use by the Russians. According to the sources in the BBC, this missile was mostly launched from the air by a MiG-31 warplane. Let me refresh your memory to prove how deadly this missile is. The Kinzhal missile is 8 meters long and is believed to travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound at a range of 2,000 kilometers. Truly, this could go down in history as the deadliest supersonic missile ever used in the face of war. What about the 9K-720 Iskander ballistic missile? Russia has deployed this short-range ballistic missile in its attack against Ukraine. Known to be a deadly short-range weapon, the Iskander boasts sharp precision to hit targets 500 kilometers away. This missile destroyed thousands of schools, hospitals, and homes in several cities across Ukraine. It is also worth noting that the Iskander is a multi-purpose weapon that comes in various versions like the bunker buster, smart submunition, thermobaric, and even EMP. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Military Technology Updates. Let's get back to the video. Weapons used to counter Russia's invasion. While the world expects Ukraine to be overwhelmed by the military might of Russia, the reverse seems to be the case. Although the war is not yet over, we cannot say that Russia has lived up to the expectation we all had of them. This could be the result of the commitment of Ukraine forces or the military weapons supplied to her by other concerned nations. However, we hope that a peaceful resolution can be made. So far, numerous weapons have been used by Ukraine to resist the Russians, top of which is the S-300 missile defense system. An inside source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, confirmed that the Russian-made S-300 was a sophisticated missile and a viable longer-range anti-aircraft system that could easily be integrated into Ukraine's military. It is believed that the Ukraine military has this weapon as most European NATO members have it in their military arsenal. What about the Switchblade kamikaze drones? They can attack, but they can also be made to loiter around targets before attacking them. They often come in two variants, the Switchblade 300 and the Switchblade 600. They can practically be launched anywhere, be it land, sea, or air. However, the Switchblade 600 differs from the Switchblade 300 in that the latter has a 50-mile range and can deliver a precision strike with anti-armor warheads. Also worthy of mention is the Stinger anti-aircraft system. This artillery that is known around the world as a deadly weapon has several variations that have been put to use in several conflicts over the years, including the Soviets in Afghanistan. Ground troops mainly handle this missile to combat low-altitude aerial threats like a shoulder missile. Notwithstanding, they could also be fired from helicopters. Well, the Ukrainians are believed to have this weapon as the US had already delivered or is believed to be delivering about 600 of these to them. Several countries like Germany have also promised to supply Ukraine with more missiles. Last on our list is the Javelin missiles. Well, there is no doubting how dangerous this missile is. As an anti-tank missile system, the weapon uses thermal imaging to locate target tanks. The US claimed to have provided Ukraine with 2,000 famous deadly beasts. The total number of weapons sent by the US so far remains unclear, but the numbers are believed to be quite considerable. It is also worthy to note that this missile has a staggering efficiency. Reports indicate that it has a 93% kill rate against Russian tanks, forcing Moscow to pull tank divisions from the front lines in certain instances. What went wrong? With high expectations and hope placed on Russian military, it remains quite a puzzle that its objective in Ukraine is yet to be achieved. The question now is, what went wrong? Well, a tentative answer could be that the wrong individuals planned the war. Sources have it that the Russian invasion was planned and launched by the Kremlin and its security chiefs, rather than the professional military. This may be why the Kremlin advisors have been finding it difficult informing their masters about the sorry state of the military. It is safe to say that the launchers of the war may have fallen victim to their propaganda, a situation peculiar to an authoritarian political system. While the above analysis possesses much truth, it does not capture the actual reason for the Kremlin's failure. Essential logistics breakdown, command and control failure, the devastating condition of much of the military hardware, and the poor accuracy of the precision-guided munitions. The disastrous battlefield test goes to show the presence of a substantial systemic failure in the Russian military. Before the start of the invasion, a total of 200,000 men were amassed by Russia for the military operation, followed by an extensive collection of various military equipment and armor along the Ukrainian border. Its arsenal, composed mainly of long-distance missiles, was no doubt sure to land a devastating blow on the Ukraine Air Force and air defenses. Also, several Ukraine traitors were believed to have been recruited by the Russian security service to ensure a pro-Russian government was planted at the start of the war. The first surprise dealt with the Russian military was an early loss of a column of troops drafted from the Kremlin's National Guard called the Rosgvardia, who moved towards Kyiv in barely protected vehicles. The unit, which was formerly equipped with riot gear like helmets, shields, and batons, had been instructed to patrol the streets of Kyiv when captured. They, however, proved an easy target for Ukraine's defense. Attempting to predict if Russia would record more success in the Donbas and whether a rebuilding of its battered military after the war can only come from addressing two critical issues, which are what led its military into its present sorry state and how Russia's spin could convince all sides that Russia had grown to become a serious threat to NATO and her allies. If you enjoy watching videos like this, leave a like and subscribe to the Military Technology Updates channel. That way, you don't miss out on our next videos.